that should be correct. We should have picture, we should have audio. Everybody should be able to see and hear us. Let me know if there's any difference. I tried to move my screens around and I ended up losing screens, and then there was problems with audio and stuff. So do let me know if there's any issues, if it's not coming through. And other than that, I run around, make sure everything's okay. Richard, would you like to introduce yourself to everybody?
Peace and respect. For anybody who doesn't know me, I have a really, really weird view of ancient religious stories. I am proposing a non-magical, non-supernatural view in a continuous reading context that actually makes sense in reality and is talking about future events of fully evolved human beings who never lived on this planet. That's basically it, I guess.
We're up to Revelation 6, so we are now.
Yes.
If anyone know, I don't know if you know, Richard, have you heard of the show called The Expanse about aliens and things like that? There, it's it had 6 series.
Someone mentioned it, but I don't know that show.
I downloaded the last 3 books and just finished reading the 3 books, and there's like the human race gets separated for like 1,000 years, and it's quite good at the
it's a set of books. I thought it was a television show or
It
something.
was a set of books turned into a television show, but then they stopped after like the 7th book or the 6th book, and I just went and bought the books then. But very good, interesting alien story and that. So if anyone hasn't finished the Expanse story, definitely go and get the books. Audible has them at the minute for like £7, or you can just join Audible for a month like I did and get 2 free tickets and then quit. Get 2 free books, you know. But yeah, thanks everybody for coming back. As I say, everything should be working. Yeah, we're on Revelation 6. I will go straight to Richard and let Richard continue with his wonderful voice while I get set up here and just make sure everything's not going to explode.
All right, we'll just jump right in then.
Yeah, of course.
And I saw when the Lamb opened one of the seals, and I heard, as it were, the noise of 7 thunders. I'm sorry, the noise of thunder. I jumped ahead in my brain, sorry. One of the 4 beasts saying, "Come and see."
So these
and I saw.
So the seals.
Sorry, one thing.
There is 7 seals on the book.
That's correct.
And are they opening them now? I saw when the Lamb opened one of the seals. So
that's right.
Which Lamb is opening them now?
There's only one Lamb.
We have the Jesus watching. The past Jesus who is
right
on it, and then we have
Jesus, and Jesus is the Lamb who opens the seals. Yes,
right. So we do have multiple Jesuses. That's what I'm saying. The Lamb that's opening it is the Lamb that's relevant to this world.
Right.
So I'm saying it's our Jesus that's opening it. So as we're watching the story, it is the person who has portrayed this part before. His older brother is technically opening this. The guy on stage, the guy on stage that John is watching is opening the book, being a representative of the Lamb of his planet. Yes.
What John sees is an actual lamb, though.
How do you?
But that lamb represents Jesus. Let's just try to think of this as him watching computer-generated 3D images.
But he's watching an actual lamb open a seal. So is it over there with his hoofs and its teeth sort of pulling at it, or?
It doesn't matter. He could just touch it and it would open.
Right.
Because this is all talking about building the 7 spirits of God within the new hero.
Mm-hmm.
Which is why he's found worthy, and he opens the seals, and he has to do them in order.
But what would be the point? Like, you made the point of saying to me that he's watching an actual lamb.
Yeah.
Why did you think that was relevant to bring up? You know, why do you
think... Because it describes a lamb, and it's all bloody and stuff, as if it had just been killed, and, you know, they go on about it.
Okay.
So if I'm going to stick with what the text actually says, John has to see an actual lamb doing this.
Right. But it's metaphorical in its representation.
Of course, the lamb always represents Jesus in all cases. Yeah. You'll never find a spotless lamb that is not representing Jesus in the Bible. It's just that's what it means.
Right. Verse 2.
And I saw, and behold, a
Do you know-
white horse.
Actually, do you know what I haven't done? I haven't actually said hello to everybody in the chat because I've been panicking
Oh, yeah.
trying to
We
get this.
should.
So, Dog,
Oh,
Mr.
look at
Willis, Cat, Claire, Mac, everybody that's turned up. Bugs is here. So, everybody that's turned up, thank you very much. Sorry, as I say, I'm panicking. I tried to get a big screen going and then I lost all my fucking screens. I got greedy. Don't get greedy, you know. But thank you, everybody, for coming in. I know this isn't one of the more popular shows, but it's one of my favourite shows that I enjoy doing, and I definitely enjoy having the banter with Richard. So thanks, everybody, for coming and putting up with us, Egypts. Richard, sorry for interrupting.
I have no idea what the Mandarin from Iron Man 3 means.
The Mandarin from
okay.
Iron Man 3, it was really badly done. He doesn't. You don't look like the Mandarin. Although I can see where you can get the Mandarin. You need a wee bit few outfits and some gold rings.
Okay.
Yeah. You could go as the Mandarin as Halloween.
I'm not going to work toward that.
Nope. It's not happening.
But peace and respect, Mr. Willis and Mac and Dog and Bugs. Bugs, I think I've never seen before, but pleased to meet you just the same.
Bugs is Cat's other half.
Bugs is Cat's other. Oh, okay.
If you can,
cool.
if you can have half of a cat being a bug.
Sure, why not?
Very nice person. Very, very nice.
And Claire, and Cat's here too somewhere. I just don't see Cat right now.
Yes, Cat's probably working.
Okay. All right. Okay. And I saw, and behold, a white horse, and he that sat on him had a bow, and a crown was given unto him. This word given is actually more important than a person might think. And he went forth conquering and to conquer. And no, it's not repeating itself. It's not redundant. Okay, so backing up and talking about each section of it.
Yeah.
Lamb is capitalized here in the King James, and it should be. Because when it means lamb, it says lamb, it actually means a proper name, and it means the job Jesus Christ. That's what lamb here means. Yeah. Just like everywhere else. Yeah. Opens one of the seals. That would probably be translated better as the first seal, but one of the seals is fine, I guess. And I heard. Now, if you look at the word heard right near here, it's not going to be my ears worked. A noise was made. That's not going to be it. It's going to be I perceived and understand by hearing. Okay? So it's not just hearing something, it's hearing and understanding it.
Oh, well, yeah, well, we've established that.
Hearing something.
Yeah, well, we've established earlier on that when it says you hear, it doesn't mean the auditory noise. It means you understand.
Right. Yes, and that's important.
As if it was the noise of thunder. It is making a reference to a physical audible noise, but along with your interpretation, I would take that the noise of thunder is just to emphasize, I'm very big, I'm very important.
Not only that, but there'll be physical sounds to go with these events when they actually happen, so that the people of the earth who witness this will, like, okay, in another part it says, I will do such a thing that your ears will tingle. Okay.
That sounds a little pervy.
Yeah, it might be pervy, but it might be just physical. I don't know what's the loudest thing you've ever heard in your life.
Mm-hmm.
But you'll notice like certain pitches for a human being, on average, for a human being, you'll actually feel your your ear twitch and tingle, and it tickles.
Yeah. I've heard bombs.
If you've ever been around really loud stuff.
I've heard bombs go off, but.
So then you know what I'm talking. Some bombs will cause that effect. Yeah, if you're in the right location.
Well, it would have been the loudest thing I'd have heard, but I wasn't beside the bomb, or else I wouldn't be.
You're alive, so yeah.
There's a bit of distance, but yeah, I understand what you're saying. I understand the actual physical attraction of it,
Yeah. Okay, so I think that's what they're talking about here. Noise of thunder. And one of the four beasts, not all of them, say, come and see. All right.
Yeah, so there's 7 beasts and 7 seals. No, there's 4 beasts.
There's 4 beasts.
7 seals. Oh, that's an uneven spread. Someone's only going to get 1. Everyone else is going to get 2. Somebody's only going to get 1 seal. It's not going to be
so left out. We should feel bad for, and I think it's the beast with the face of a man who gets left out in rotation. But anyway, because he's last. What a weird observation. It's like saying, what kind of birds lived in the tree of Nebuchadnezzar? You know, it's one of those questions.
I don't know. I don't think that's a weird.
Really doesn't matter.
I don't know. It's just the mathematics of it and breaking it down. You know, if there's four, and there's 8, everybody gets fair. But the fact that there's only 7, some poor bastard.
So then MathPig, and I'm extremely shocked. Okay.
I'm not that good. I'm not as good as math as I would like to think. But yeah, it's there. I see it.
Okay. So, and let's see. And I beheld, and again, that's, you know, not just seeing, but understanding, a white horse. Okay. So white here, as you intuitively would know from this culture and even from extension into our own, white means good and clean and, you know, and pure and things like that. Okay.
Yeah.
Which is not a racial statement.
And a crown.
It's a color statement.
Right. So he has a bow. We'll come back to that. He has a crown that was given upon to him. So we're going to go back to this whole representation of given a crown by someone who has the power. As in...
Right. Yeah. So you need a king to crown you king. And to be crowned is to become king.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Now, what's what's the relevance of the bow?
The word bow here is actually bow, archer, hunter.
Mm-hmm.
And what it means is it's someone who provides. Okay. So a bowman is protection and nourishment.
Well, I know. Okay. That's a bit of a leap.
Why? It's literally how they looked at it. That's what a bowman is.
Oh, I know what I'm not. No, I'm not disagreeing with you that a bowman can, you know, an archer. Sorry, an archer would be a hunter-gatherer. An archer could be a soldier or anything like that.
Sure.
But just having a guy on a bow, I don't know. All right. I can see where you're getting it from. Okay,
the assumption here is that he knows how to use it. That's the only assumption I'm making. Yeah. He's good at it. Okay. And he went forth... allow me that assumption that he knows what he's doing.
Conquering and to conquer.
Right. And there's some argumentation over this. Personally, my view is it's describing 2 different time frames. It uses the same word twice in the most original confirmed text that we have. Conquer, conquer. Okay.
He goes forth conquer and to. So he goes forth to conquer, conquer.
Conquer, conquer. That's what it says. Go forth, conquer, conquer. Okay, so the way they divided up here was conquering and to conquer, and that's about probably the best they could do with the translation. But I think it's just saying 2 different events.
Generally, if you say something twice,
does it twice?
If you say something twice, it doesn't necessarily mean 2 incidences. If you're describing one, it could be a reinforcement of that.
Sure, it could be.
But the argumentation comes down to the actual translation, whether it's conquer, conquer, or conquering and to conquer.
Right. Okay, so he's given something. I know I'm overemphasizing it right now, and you're like, why the hell is he suing it? He's given something here. He's given a bow and a crown. All right. And he goes. All right. And that's going to lead right into the next seal.
Right. Go on ahead.
And when he had opened the second seal, I heard the second beast say, "Come and see."
So the first
and there went out.
So the first, just to confirm, the first beast opened the second seal, but it's the second beast that said, "Come hither and look."
Say that again, please.
And when he had opened the second seal, I heard the second beast say. So the first beast is, I'm just confirming my numbers if everyone's getting 2, you know. So the first beast is the one that's opened the first 2 seals, even though
no beast opens any seal. The Lamb opens the seals.
Okay.
Where'd you lose context?
Okay. Well then, why are you coming to, why would you say to me, "Come and see," if I'm right in front of it?
Because he's talking to John, come and see what the Lamb has done. Because John's not the Lamb.
I understand that John's not the Lamb. It's okay. We're going to come down to the translation and the way it's using the words. If it says said he, when you're referencing something that's already happened, I'm still talking about the person that I was talking about before.
Sure.
You know, it's just the way the translation is. But go on ahead. The second beast has now talked.
Yep. They come and see.
Right. To the thing that I'm
while the
reading.
Lamb opens the second seal.
Right.
So John, like, I don't know, stands up, peeks over, whatever.
I just, we're having a play. Generally, when you're having a play, you don't have the people from the audience come up and see. You don't acknowledge the people in the sea. You have it. That's what we call.
Of one.
We call it a pantomime over here. You know, look behind you.
Oh yeah. Now, just put John in the position of the only one watching the pantomime, and the pantomime gets him involved.
I'm just
in the whole show.
right. What I'm having. Maybe I'm not explaining myself correctly here. The issues that I'm having with this is that the play has went so far. Okay? And I have mentioned before, could this be such and such a person that they're referring to? And you've went, no. In your belief system, it must be X person. And the whole way through the story, it has never been a person in the audience. It has been the person in the audience watching a story. We have never interacted with the person in the audience before. Everything that
John is the only audience as far as I can tell.
Yes, but we've never interacted with him before.
Right.
So we've went through 6 chapters of using words which references only the people in the play.
In the play, yeah.
And now we are referencing
John's
someone
like,
outside the play and asking them to get
the
involved.
beasts are like, hey, John, come over here.
Yeah, it's
something like that.
Yeah, right.
You're right.
It would be more plausible that they're keeping it internal. Plays generally would be internal.
Normally.
So that's what I'm having the problem with is the context of he and him and they, and you're now including John from the audience.
Yeah.
Further on in Revelations, do you include John again in the audience, or is this the only time that he does?
My brain doesn't have an answer for you right now on that. We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah. But would you see where I'm getting from? Where if this is the only incidence where you see John interacting with the play because it suits your narrative and he never interacts with the play ever again, it just seems if that one incident was the only time that it happened, it's more plausible that the play is internal.
Yeah, it would be. I think it's consistent because John also sees the flying locust scorpion animals. He sees them. Let's see.
He sees everything. He's watching the play.
Well, yeah, but he's actually like, and I saw an angel flying through heaven. I don't know. We'll just have to sort it out as we get there.
But do you get where I'm coming from? If this is the only incident,
maybe I do, maybe I don't. I'm not totally sure.
If this is the only incidence where it jumps from being a play to a pantomime just to suit your narrative, it's a wee bit weird.
It's every time it's come see, all 4 of the beasts.
Yeah, you're going to say, in this one particular scene of the play or pantomime or whatever it is, this part of the story is the only time so far that they've interacted with the audience.
Yes.
And if it doesn't happen again, then to me, that's you
weird.
It suits your narrative.
It's at least weird, yeah.
You know.
Well, tell me how else would you justify these positions and characters other than what I'm suggesting?
Right, again, not a Christian, going from cultural.
No, you don't have to be. It's an internal critique,
right?
But
looking at it, I would keep it internal.
How many different characters there are?
I would keep it internal.
Figure out a different way.
I would keep it internal. To me, reading this, for it to be a play portrayed to someone else as a representation than this guy watching it, that's an awful lot of steps. Now, I understand that you can get there from your belief system, but for me to just come in and see this and read it and come to that conclusion.
Well, let me just ask you some specific questions. Who's writing this down?
Right, you're going to lead the conversation now. I don't have you leading the conversation when I'm reading it on my own in my room at night.
Right,
so I'm going to come to the conclusions that I come to in the way I think it without your questions. Because with your questions, you're going to lead it and you're going to end up, because you've had lots of practice, and you're going to go, but you see, it has to be this. But
well, there's a reason I have a lot of practice. I've spent a lot of time thinking about this.
I understand that, but I'm trying to you're asking me to give my internal critique, and I'm asking you to not give your bias and influence it. And when I'm reading this, for me to take that as a play, that's a big step, all right? For me to take it as a vision is not a big step. For a play, it's different, right? Because the way you're looking at it is it's John watching something, it's a representation of a guy. So there's like 3 steps there, right? You've got Jesus, John, and our Jesus, right? So there's a few steps. Where, if I'm reading it, it's just a guy having a vision. And if I'm reading it as an atheist, it's a guy tripping his balls off. You know,
Okay.
these are more plausible. For you to then take that and go, right, we're going to add another step to it, and we're going to say that not only is there an audience, but the audience now interacts with it. It's an awful lot to go. It's an awful, from starting with nowhere.
Then I'll just make assertions. John is the one writing it down. So when it says I saw, it means John, because John's the writer. So when John says I saw a beast say and heard a beast say, then he's talking about the beast. It's still I, John, saw.
Right, but then whenever he's saying earlier on, I am saying this, I am giving you this information, and I have made my opinion of these people. It's not talking about John, it's talking about the angels. It's talking about them 7.
It's still John talking about the angels, though.
Now, we had this discussion where we specifically landed it down who was actually speaking when they said I, and you said that it was the angels telling the story. These 7 spirits of God, they are the people talking. When they say I in the story, they're talking about them. And now when it says I in the story, we're not talking just about the lamb. We're actually talking about John, who's in the audience, who's now interacting.
It sounds like you're saying I changed something when I didn't.
I'm just saying earlier in the story when it says I, and they're talking about the letters, they were talking about the angels. Now when it says I, we are talking about John.
Well, he's not quoting someone here. Except when he says, and I saw. Hold on. And I saw, and one of the beasts said. And he says I'm quoting.
I get.
We would not think that John said to someone, come and see. We wouldn't think that, would we?
No, but I would say that John's having his balls off and someone would say, come and see to John. Sticking.
Well, there's a good reason.
Yeah, that's sticking with the original idea that I have. I didn't, but yours isn't the same as mine. Yours is John as an audience member with a representation of a Jesus watching an old Jesus. There's more steps there. And for you to go right back to the original one, it skips all the other stuff that you've used to justify everything that you've had before.
I don't see how.
I know.
I literally don't see how.
I know.
Let it suffice to say that people say this looks like an acid trip for good reason.
I understand that, right? But that's not my opinion. I'm reading it. I still haven't got my acid trip yet. I'm not happy. I haven't been tripped out enough yet, right? But
I think it's quite plain.
I'm saying, right?
John is writing and that John
I'm going to
quotes
try.
other
Let me see if I can do
things.
this. Let me see if I can do this visually, right? So I've got John and I've got my representation, right? And that's 2 things.
Good.
Okay?
Okay.
And then we've got yours is 4 steps because we've got Jesus who's being like from John watching the play. Yeah. He's in the audience. Yeah. You know, there's all these different things. It's not just one man tripping his balls off. And now you're going from your 4th step and you're going and ignoring the 2 in the middle and going back to this where it's just John looking at it. And these 2 things in the middle that you have used to justify your position at the end.
What were the 2 things in the middle again?
Were just like, you know, the fact
I can't even see your desk.
John's weren't. All right, I'm fucking. There we go. Not that they're labeled; they're just fag butts, like. But I just think that there was 4 steps to get where you are, and I need 2. And in this particular instance, you're just using the same 2 that I'd used at the start, but you are ignoring the other 2 in the middle that you have already used. Like I'm not a B anymore. We're up here at D. It's the longer I talk, the worse it's getting. You're not getting it. You're making this funny face now where you're like, my brain hurts. So we'll agree to disagree.
I want to agree. I want to understand what you're saying.
Doug has described it as moving goalposts. I don't think it's moving goalposts. No, I don't think that's what I'm trying to say. I think it's moving the goalpost backwards, if anything.
The hell? I don't know where any of you guys are coming from at all. I just don't get it.
Doug wasn't here for the original first episodes and stuff. So
look, nothing. Hold on. You've talked a lot, and I'm just getting worse.
Yeah. Maybe
if I talk a little bit, you can point out where my brain's wrong. Okay, let me try that. The whole thing's an acid trip. John's writing down an acid trip. That's step 1. That's just what it is. Underneath of that, as like a subcategory, we talk about the acid trip itself. Okay? Now, at this point in the acid trip, John becomes part of the acid trip. He's seeing himself as a person participating. What's wrong with that?
In that description, nothing.
Okay, let me go one layer lower than that. When John is participating in his own acid trip, sees himself in the third person, like he's a mover camera watching himself, something like that, right? He's participating with others in the play. He's now in the play. He's part of the acid trip, right? What's wrong with that?
I knew you were. I said you were going to do this exact thing, but go on ahead.
I don't know what else to do, though.
I know, but you're
There's
right.
this impasse.
This is. I know,
just
but this
don't
is the
even
right.
understand
Well,
what
this
you're
is also
saying.
okay. This is also the problem that I have with street epistemology, right?
Okay.
Is where someone says, you know, X, Y, you know, if I say X and I say Y, it has to be Z, right?
Okay,
That,
maybe.
yeah,
If
it
it's a
doesn't.
true dichotomy, if it follows.
Right. Well, this is the 3 steps. If I do step 1 and step 2, it has to be step 3. No, it doesn't. You know,
Maybe.
maybe. Right. When you come
Right.
across and go, what this, and this, what's the problem with that? Your statement has no problem with it, but your statement is not what I'm trying to say. Your statement is a really boiled down, simple version of just the hot points which gets it across. But there's context and details to it that have been added to the story, which is where the problem is.
Okay, I wasn't done.
Go ahead.
Okay, so while he's participating within this acid trip by his own perception, right? He's part of it. There are characters within the acid trip that he is quoting individually, and he doesn't change context ever as to which one is which, as far as I can tell.
Uh-huh.
Like the lamb is opening the seals. The four beasts around God's throne are announcing that this is important. Pay attention. The main angel who's telling the overall story is in the background. He's kind of like stepped away from the main scene, and John is like right there looking at it.
On an acid trip.
It's okay if he's on an acid trip. There's
Right,
no
but
proof for any of this.
Yes, but whenever you're not saying he's on an acid trip.
I don't think he's on an acid trip.
No, that's what I'm saying, Richard. This story that you're describing makes sense. Not that I've ever been off my face in acid, but people can see themselves in the third person and lots of mad things happen,
Sure,
and
of
it's
course
possible.
you can. Sure.
Okay? But for it to stick with your story isn't an acid trip. Your story is step 1, step 2,
Why is
step
that
3.
relevant? Why is that relevant? What's the difference between it's a future event and it's an acid trip? What difference does it make?
We're just going round in circles. We're not going to get anywhere here. I'm just going to repeat myself because I can't feel any need to say anything. Like I've taken 2 steps to get where I am, and it's a very simple, very easy, and I can maintain these 2 steps the whole way through it. The whole way through the 6 chapters that we've went through, I can still say that these 2 things is what's happening, and they explain it. You've had to come up with 4, and now you're going back to just the simple, oh no, it's just that. And you're ignoring the other steps that you've had to take to explain the previous 5. And when you explain them previous 5 to me, I'm not on this second stage anymore. I'm up here with you. And for you to then go straight back down to this again, back down to the simplest, it ignores everything that you've already said. And it does, because for an audience member to get involved in a play, it ignores the fact that it's a play.
I agree with you that you believe what you're saying is accurate.
You don't get me.
And I think you're being honest with me. That's fine.
Mm-hmm. As I say, shall we move on? Because I don't think we're getting anywhere here.
Oh, by the way, you asked me to say if I looked at the monitor and I didn't see the text verses up there, and I don't right now. But I don't know if you took them down or if they were never up.
Probably never up, Richard.
Okay, well, I don't know.
Yeah, never up. That was your one job.
I did it. I did the job.
There you go. We're only 34 minutes in. I knew I'd forget. Check and everything else, I knew I'd forget. Anyway, Where are we now?
We're at the second seal.
Second seal, right.
Yeah.
No. Right. Open the second seal, verse 4. And there went out another horse that was red, and power was given to him that sat thereon to take peace from the earth, and that they should kill one another. And there was given unto him a great sword. So we're getting into the four apocalypse, the horsemen of the apocalypse. Is this where?
Oh yeah, this is what this is. Yeah.
Yeah. So the first one being, as you've pointed out with white, the first horse of the apocalypse is Jesus. We're obviously going to get 4 more then, I assume.
3. There's 4 total.
4 total. Is there not 4 evil?
What? Oh, I know what you did. There's something Christian. It's not your fault. Christians read all of the horsemen as evil because there's a summary that you're going to see very soon in a description of the 4th horseman, where he is part of a group. So when it says group, instead of referring back to just the group he's in, somehow in Christianity, they include all of the horsemen as part of that group as being evil. Don't know why. I don't
the
think
4 horsemen of the apocalypse.
Way,
so the 4 evil horsemen of the apocalypse aren't 4 evil.
Not
horsemen.
all evil. Only the last one is.
Only the last one.
Only the last one's evil.
Well, this red one was just given a great sword and told to go
What's
to
the sword?
Hold on.
What's the sword in the Bible?
All right, but the red one was just told to go to the earth and take peace away. So the red one's war.
Yes, he's going to take away peace. He's going to make war so that they not kill, slay each other. Right.
Right. War's evil.
Depends on what kind of war you mean.
Well,
not all war is universally evil. It's subjective.
Oh yeah, yeah. Everybody thinks that they're doing the right thing. I understand that, but generally,
well, no. But some genuinely are doing the right thing, and we would agree with certain wars in certain situations. And
some people may.
I mean, the conversation, the show's over as soon as you say Hitler. But did we go stop Hitler? And was that right? And was that a war? Of course.
Yes.
Okay.
It was
so
right
we can all
to
grant
stop
that.
him.
They were murdering folks, civilians.
It's
In
because
large numbers of civilians were getting croaked.
Mm-hmm.
You can't just put up with it. You go and kill the soldiers that are croaking them. That's what you do.
Yeah, but these people, in your opinion, are killing us for our material and our minerals.
What?
The war, the end of the world, the apocalypse, under your belief system, is the aliens coming down and taking our minerals away. Okay?
It's not ours. Who said it was our minerals? Who told you that crap?
Spending hundreds of thousands of years on the planet and, working on it.
Oh, yeah, that's such a big claim when they've owned those same materials that they've been recycling for billions of years.
Hold on.
Your
hold on.
200,000 years really matters.
They're not recycling. Recycling means
reusing.
Recycling means to reuse the same amount over and over and over again. You are creating a new fucking planet-sized ship every time. You can't just do that from recycling. You cannot create things out of nothing. You can't recycle a can and get 2 cans.
You're not creating out of nothing, because in the story it says, not only do I take what I put there, I also take whatever fell from the sky and happened to land there. That's the increase.
Yes. So they're taking...
Which suns produce materials. It's just how it is.
So they may have the rights to the parts. As you get very adamant there, they own the rights to these materials that they've put there. Right. It's a very goddamn small part.
Okay.
All right? It's a small part. So they can have fucking India, or they can have, why would it not be a small part? You're building
the stuff that falls from the sky is a small part. We only get 10 tons per year of material from space.
How can you recycle over and over again, and every time you can have enough materials to, like...
I just told you there's an increase. Stuff falls from space.
Right, which is nothing, basically. It's the small part.
It's 10 tons per year, but there's been a lot of years. But it's still a small percentage.
It has to be the majority.
What has to be the majority? Stuff that falls
from
materials space onto the planet?
I'm building ships.
Yeah.
I'm building planet-sized ships, and every single time...
1,500 miles from, let's say moon-sized.
Richard, please, let me finish.
Yeah.
I'm building moon-sized planets, moon-sized ships, okay? And every single time I come to a planet, I create a new ship.
Yep.
Right. So I am creating a new massive, massive, massive thing every time I take over a planet. If I am only using my recyclable materials, no matter how many times I recycle one aluminium can, it is never going to turn into 23 cans.
Nope, it won't.
Nope, it won't. If I started with one can and I'm now at 23 cans, then most of the cans, most of the materials that I have got didn't come from me. That's the majority.
I don't know. I don't know why you're doing the math that way.
There's 20. You're saying there's 23 Earths,
or more. Yep.
Right. And every time we go to an Earth, we create a ship. So there's 23 ships.
Yeah.
And he started with
and then ours, the 24th one. Yeah.
And he started with one planet, came there, took the materials, and the materials that he'd left, and he made a ship out of it.
Yeah, he stole from Pharaoh or Satan originally, and then there's stuff falls from space onto planets.
Yeah, yeah. So his original amount he used as his startup capital.
Right.
Right. If I start up a business and my startup capital is £1,000, and a year later I'm now a millionaire, then my original money was £1,000. Everything else that I took, I got from other people. From doing
big gain, yeah.
Yes, the gain.
Right.
So if you start with one planet, now you have 24. And most of it wasn't his. The majority, as you said.
Over time, not in one event. I thought you meant in one event, most of it's not his. I'm like, no, over time, you're absolutely right. Most of it was collected from just stuff falling from space onto planets. Yeah.
Right. And for you to have more material than what you started with, then most of it would have had to have fallen from space.
I totally agree, but I thought you were talking about singular event, not overall.
Wouldn't matter with a singular event.
Right. That's what I said.
No, it makes no difference if it's a single event or a big event. That's the point I'm making.
Sure, it does. It absolutely does.
It's the same point.
Let's say you had 29 times one heaven worth. Okay. Let's just make them all the same size for simple math. Okay. And you invested enough to build a new new heaven onto the next earth. Okay. So that's obviously 1/29th. Then when you come back and collect, you don't have 1/29th invested there. You now have 2/29ths invested there because stuff fell on the planet. Well, when you collect it back, you didn't collect back 100%. You collected back 2/29ths, which 100% is much greater than 2/29ths.
But you're not taking the ship, right? This whole 29th over here doesn't matter, because when you make the ship, you're taking the ship from here. So 100% of everything that you supposedly own, fine. It's not 100% of everything you supposedly own, but it's singularly, this singular thing. I'm making my ship from this planet. Yes. Right.
The next one, sure. So what was invested there plus gravity and what, imploding stars, be they nova or supernova, create and the slow process.
Nobody ever in the world, I'm going to just make it really simple. Nobody ever in the world invests. And when they go back to collect, they collect less than what they've invested. Everybody intends to make more money. Okay? Sure. So if you leave your materials on this earth to help make this earth, and you then come back with the intention of making a ship with the other materials that you gather from the earth, then most of the materials that the ship's coming from is coming from what's landed on it. Okay? If you leave 100 tons of material, right? Really tiny planet or whatever, just simple numbers. You leave 100 tons here, and 100 tons is not enough to make a planet-sized ship.
Yeah.
Gathers and gathers and gathers and gathers and gathers and gathers. You've now ended up with 300 or 400 tons, right? You take your original investment out. You've now got the 300 tons left over that you need to make a planet. So you make your planet-sized ship from the 300 tons. You've still got your 100. And you can go and make another planet with it. And after time, you get your 300 tons again, you can make another ship. But that original investment is always going to be smaller than what you gain.
Well, yes, obviously.
Yes. So that's the right. That's where I gain the right to my materials
What
and
right?
say he's stealing the materials because his original investment was left here.
Okay,
Most of what has been gathered on the planet has been gathered while they weren't here by the people who have been here.
Let's say that 50% of the people decide to accept heaven, 50% decide to reject it, just for easy math. Those who decide to reject it have no say in where the materials go,
because
and those
they're getting,
who accept it would
now,
donate their portion of the Earth's increase to what they want to, which would be
take what
where
they
they're
want.
going.
Richard, the point.
So it's really irrelevant.
It is very, very relevant to the original point that I was trying to make about war being bad, and you say war is justified, and they're justified in what they're doing, and they're justified in what they're doing because they're taking back what they own. And the whole point I'm trying to point out is they do not own. They own a small portion. They own this little tiny bit. Give them back India. Give them back that tiny bit. Leave the other people on the fucking planet. For them coming here and removing us from where we have been all our generations, from removing us, and not only that, taking our land, taking the products that's of our land, that is not a justified war. Whether you left a little bit here or not.
Wait. Who said that's... I don't know why that's part of the war. I don't know what you're talking about.
The apocalypse, Richard. The end of the world.
Okay.
That's the whole thing that we've been talking about.
True.
And for someone to come here, even though they left a little tiny bit to start us off, they do not own the rights to everything else. We put the work in, we put the effort in. For them to come here, right?
Well, let's just say it's all absolutely only yours. Fine. What's the problem?
Okay, I'm going to ask the audience, and I'm just going to, I don't know why I keep saying this, and you're not gathering what I'm speaking and how this is wrong. If another force that does not own and does not belong here has not been here, okay, regardless of whether they left a tiny little bit to get us started or not, if they come here and not only take their tiny little bit back and right, okay, Richard, you've interrupted me like 6 times, and I keep losing my
but you keep repeating yourself.
I keep losing my trail of thought. I've explained it and you can't see that it's wrong. It is wrong for somebody to come to someone else's land and take their land. It's wrong.
Let's say it's wrong. Fine. Keep your materials, stay on the earth, and die with the sun. Fine.
The sun is now exploding. Why? Because they did something.
Because eventually suns explode.
Right. Well,
Without
then we'll
them
stay
doing
here for
anything. Suns explode.
Okay, in 8 billion years or whatever the fuck it is until the sun explodes, you don't think in that time that we will have been able to leave this solar system?
Don't know.
Exactly. So you can't guarantee to say, stay here and blow up with the sun. Stay here and try and figure yourself out. You can't, saying here, it's either come with us and we die, or stay here, it's either stay here and die, or come with us and be our slaves. That's a false dichotomy.
It's an ultimatum.
That's a false dichotomy as well. We can stay here, and we can do better. We could stay here and help fix the planet. We could stay here and become spacefaring. You're shaking your head. Why is that not possible?
You don't know that you can fix what we've done. You don't know that.
No, I don't. I'm saying that all of these things are possible, and for you saying that the only options is leave with us or stay and die is wrong. There is other options.
What, wrong morally or wrong? Oh, you're saying wrong logically. It's wrong logically.
That's wrong. Yeah, it's wrong logically. It's a false dichotomy. The choices are not stay here and die with the sun, because that's in 8 million years, or come with us. And for them to come here and take our land and take our materials and destroy us. You can say it's
immoral, that's fine.
That is immoral and wrong.
Fine.
It is.
Fine.
Okay.
You feel like it's immoral. That's fine. I'm okay with you feeling it's immoral.
I know that it's immoral to go and steal and kill people.
There's no objective morality.
No, but I know, right. Do you not think personally that it is wrong to go and steal from people and then...
not necessarily.
So you don't think it's wrong to go and steal people and then kill them?
Not necessarily. You didn't give me enough information to make a decision. I don't know.
They have done absolutely nothing. You are under the belief that you own what they have. Even though you haven't been here in 100,000 years, and 90% of what they have earned, they earned themselves. Because you give them 10%.
Wait. You earned what's here? Is that what you're saying?
We have
I don't
been
think
here.
you did.
Earn was maybe a better.
So what?
So what? Exactly. You're under this. Right.
You happenstance happened to be here.
What? And
you
weren't.
You didn't earn something.
And you weren't at all. This alien race was not at all. But they're coming in with the belief system that they own everything and can do.
So now you have equal claim.
No, we don't have equal claim. No, we don't have equal claim, Richard. I don't know how you. How can you not see this as the white people coming to America? How can you not see that this is the analogy that I'm trying to slam home with you? A group of people who have come to another land that claim rights to it and kill people and take what they want off it, and because they are under the belief system that they deserve it because they're better evolved.
Well, that's a good reason to end the planet right there, that we've done that to each other.
How can you not
probably
see?
Continue.
Can you not see the analogy that I am making between the white people coming to America, Christopher Columbus and all that group of people coming to America and wiping out all the native people here and taking what they want because they are under the belief system that they are better evolved, as exactly what is happening here? And we would all agree that what they did. I can see why you'd
make the analogy. I can certainly see why you would.
And what they are doing, what they did is wrong. Whether it's objective or not.
Okay, you're making ultimatum claims of morality.
I didn't make any ultimatum claims.
Yes,
you made an ultimatum.
You said it is wrong. You said it is wrong. That's an ultimatum claim.
It is wrong to kill people under a false belief system that you own what they have had. For you to come and steal. My opinion is stealing is wrong.
That is what's going on.
No, you asked me a question.
Correct.
You asked me a question. My opinion is stealing is wrong. Okay? Fine. Objective, subjective, whatever the fuck it is. My opinion is stealing is wrong. Okay?
No, it's not. If your child was starving to death, you would steal.
Yes.
If you had no
if
other
my
choice,
child was starving to death, okay, all right then, right. You're just going to keep, right. I'm going to just fucking, right. Stealing may not be necessarily wrong, but for you to come somewhere, all right, if that businessman seen you starving and seen you with only a piece of bread, would you say it's wrong for that businessman to steal that bread off you?
In that situation, it would be wrong.
In that situation is wrong. So the man with more to steal from the people with less is wrong. So an alien race that has, as you say, 29 times more than what they need to build a ship, for them to come here and take it from us because they think they're better evolved than us. Mm-hmm. You don't think that's wrong?
That would be wrong if that's the only part of it.
What's the other part?
If you have the full picture, it's wrong.
Right. Well, the full picture is they're saving us from the sun exploding, which isn't going to happen in 8 minutes. This arbitrary number.
Say that.
You mentioned it 2 minutes ago. You said, come with us.
I said it's an eventuality.
Come with us or stay and let the sun explode.
That would be an eventuality, yeah.
Yeah, in a long-ass time, Richard. A long-ass time.
Sure, it would be a long time from now, yes.
Yes, and for them to come here and take what we own.
Tell you what, if you think it's unfair, I can understand that. But if the prophecy actually happens, we are plunged into an ice age. 95% of the humans on the earth will perish in the next 40 to 50 years after that ice age starts. Now, if you can live with that, fine.
How do you know that that's a guarantee?
I kind of like people making... What?
How do you know that that's a guarantee? The only reason you know that this is definitely prophetic and that will happen is if they intervene. We have discussed before about how they're going to intervene and use their technology to change different things. Change the structure of Jupiter and stuff like that. They are going to intervene. So for them to intervene and make sure that we die.
What it actually reads is that the volcanic eruption is a very natural thing. There is what we would perceive as evil things coming out of the sun or Sol. I think that's talking about coronal mass ejections. Mm-hmm. The flipping of the poles has happened before. Coronal mass ejections during the flipping of the poles has happened before. major volcanic eruptions have caused ice ages before.
Mm-hmm.
That's not something they have to do.
Okay, so they're going to
None
hang
of that.
right. Okay, so they're going to hang around and wait till these things happen before they come back.
Yeah.
So they're sitting watching.
Apparently, yeah, it says they are.
Okay, so whenever you say to me that they are definitely coming back within X amount of years, you're not making a claim on what they're going to do because of the information you're giving. You're making a claim that you know what's going to happen with the sun.
I'm perfectly persuaded, yes. I am completely persuaded.
Did it?
Yeah.
But you can't say that it's a guaranteed, definite thing that's going to happen. And the only way to make something guaranteed, and the only way to make something guaranteed to happen is to step in and take action. I can say that the grass is never going to be cut again. And the only way to stop that is to not cut the grass myself. It has to be cut, needs interaction. For you to guarantee that something's going to happen, it is down to a choice. It's down to you taking the interaction. They're going to have to...
Why did you suggest something where the grass would eventually need cut?
I said it back to front because I'm getting frustrated. I said it back to front. Okay?
No, you didn't. You didn't say it backwards. I'm absolutely fine. I'm not strawmanning what you'd said. I'm saying you understand grass grows.
Yes, and I said don't cut when I should have said cut, and I'm not going to focus on that.
It doesn't matter.
No, that's the thing I made a mistake on. I'm not going to focus on that. The point still stands. Okay, I'm not going to go off on that tangent. The point still stands. For you to make a claim and for you to say to me that this is definitely going to happen, the only way for it to definitely happen is for these people to actually get involved.
No, that's not true.
Okay, in your time frame, yes. And the only way that you would know that otherwise is to make a scientific claim about how you know the sun's going to do this in your lifespan. So you either know that the sun's going to do this and they're hanging around waiting, or they're going to come in during your lifetime because they choose to. Which is more likely? Them just choosing to. You have never said to me before that they are waiting around for the sun to do this. You have told me that they are...
No, actually, I have said that several times.
Not naturally.
What?
There was never a caveat of it being natural. We always
You're the only one who ever said something different.
Well, when you're talking about aliens coming in and turning Jupiter into a second sun and knocking Mercury over
I didn't
Earth,
say they will turn it into a second sun. I said it becomes a second sun because of a series of events.
Right, and we have discussed that if it's physically impossible, for the only way that it to actually happen would be through technology, which we could describe as the hand of God, and you agreed with that.
No, I agreed that that's a possibility. I didn't say that the story is describing that.
I were talking about something absolutely about 50 steps down the road that has absolutely fuck all to do with what I'm saying. I am trying to say to you, Richard, that if someone comes here to my fucking house, and I don't care whether they built the house, I don't give a fuck if they lent me £100 to get the house. If they come here and under the belief that they think that they own it because they're better than me, and they take it, they're in the wrong. That's not subjective, that's not anything, that's not objective or whatever. But if somebody who is better off comes to someone who is worse off and they take from them because they think that they are right, look everywhere. It's wrong. We call it out all the time. We call it out in capitalism. We call it out in tribes. We call it out all the time. When the strong pick on the weak and take what they want.
I agree with you.
It is wrong.
I agree with you. Okay, so mankind on this planet in this form has been something around 200,000 years. That's the best estimate we have, something like that. We agree on that? We don't. The last volcanic eruption that was a super volcano was 450,000 years ago, twice as long. Which is why human beings in their social memory, their collective memory, do not know what a super volcano looks like. We just don't know. And the best that the USGS can say is, well, if Yellowstone erupted, it would be like 40 Krakatoa or 200 Mount St. Helens. Something like that. That's their estimate. And that would plunge us into an ice age, like an actual ice age. Okay? Now, governments are prepared to handle that for a while, for a time, for a certain amount of people. Okay? That's why we have the sperm bank. That's why we have the seed bank, is because of preparations for that kind of an event.
Old salt mines and stuff like that. There, I watched a show on one the other day. Yes.
Okay. But they can't handle it for hundreds of years or 50 years. Probably they probably can't handle it for 25 years.
Yep.
Okay. Now, the sun has done this and the earth interacted before and done this thing. And we know that. We know about the ice ages. We know about the earth cleansing events. They're not even claiming that they have to do the earth cleansing event, but just that it will happen. It'll happen when the population is really high. And when our technology is such that if heaven arrived, we would understand it enough that we could accept that. Unlike even 100 years ago. Okay, so saving us, not from sin, that's not what we need saved from, but from an ice age, that's a real thing that is very likely to happen, begin in the next 20 years. It's just very likely.
No, according to science, it is very unlikely that it'll go off in the next 1,000 years.
That what will go off?
That Yellowstone will go off. I know that's... You think that Yellowstone...
Am I talking only about Yellowstone?
You have mentioned to me before that your belief is that Yellowstone is where this is going to happen.
If you look at the science that only describes Yellowstone itself and not solar ejecta or the particles that affect the shadow zone, you're right. Yellowstone might not go off for another 100,000 years. You're correct.
So we have time.
If you only look at Yellowstone.
Man, if you extend the lifespan of any species long enough, it ends in zero. Okay?
Yeah, I believe in extinction events.
Yes. If anything lives long enough, it probably will end up extinct. Okay? That's just a phrase. It's not a fact that I'm making, okay? But that's a phrase that's there. You can say that an ice age is coming, but you can't state when. You can say that Yellowstone may explode, and you can't say when. You can say that the sun's coronal mass may happen, but you can't say when. And saying all of these things will happen, and having all of these things happen must have an intervention if they are all to happen at the exact same.
I don't think it needs an intervention. I don't think that's true. It's happened before. It'll happen again.
You cannot say it's going to happen in our lifetime, Richard. For it to happen in our life, okay.
I can talk about likelihoods. I can't talk about anything definitive.
I can't say that it's definitely not going to happen, but you are putting such a small time scale on things that do happen, but happen on such a large time scale for these 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 events to happen all after each other. I'm not saying it's impossible. It's very improbable. It suddenly becomes very, very, very probable if somebody uses technology to intervene.
That would make it definite, not probable.
Thank you. That's the point it was
just
making.
Like you know how to cut the grass. Same.
That's the point I was making.
I don't think I'm not getting what you're saying. Okay. What I'm suggesting is they understand so much about the universe, and they have seen solar systems so many times, at least 23 before this, that they know when a certain series is set up, it's going to play out a certain way. And they know that the majority of us are going to perish after this certain event starts.
And they
know that if they don't save us, a very high percentage of the population, I said 45, 50, 60%. No. 95, 98% will die. That's realistic. Okay?
If these events happen, yes. But
yes.
What I'm trying
now, how can I say I think they're going to happen in the next 20 years? Well, here's why.
Andy, I thought we were talking 50 last time. It's getting real short.
You don't want to hear what I really think.
I'm not. I was trying to lighten the mood because I've been getting frustrated, so I'm trying to lighten the mood. That's all it was. I wasn't trying to be rude. Continue with what you're saying. Better clarification is best.
Okay. Yellowstone will probably never erupt on its own. Probably never. Okay, but it has erupted before and it will erupt again. We can say that. It has every potential to. However, it doesn't really erupt on its own. It needs some kind of triggering. Okay.
It helps
Now,
to have a triggering.
Right.
A
We know of a
catalyst.
natural triggering system. Now, we've only known this less than a decade. Okay. But we do know that these things are on different cycles. Everything's in nature is on a sine wave of some kind. The sine waves are not perfectly timed with each other. But what you need is a crossover point where all the sine waves, where the waves meet.
Yeah.
And X marks the spot where the event happens. That's what you need for the event to happen.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So the solar long cycle is 604 years. The short cycle is 11. So the sun ramps up and evens off and calms down on an 11-year cycle. However, on a 406-year cycle, it gets really crazy active.
Oh, yeah.
So it's a sine wave making a sine wave. So there's a wiggle, and then it's climbing, and there's a wiggle, and it's coming down. Okay? Something like that.
Resonance and all that crack, yeah.
Okay, so, but the poles don't flip on the same sine wave as the solar long cycle. It's a different sine wave.
I understand.
Okay. And the eruption of Yellowstone is a third sine wave. Okay. So when are they likely to all meet up? In the next 20 years, they're very likely to all meet up.
Aye. We know this information because we have been on the planet. We have taken studies. We look back at it. We've been watching the sun.
Sure. Lots of work.
Lots of work. Tons of work. Now,
huge amount of man hours.
Or the aliens to know that when they were coming to our planet with no evidence. Now, all of our information that we're getting it from, we're not just looking out a telescope at the sun and gathering this information up. We are actually looking at the ground. We are looking at studies. We're looking in the water. We're looking at stars. We're taking everything into account, and we've been here for that time on the Earth, so we have access to this information.
Sure.
The aliens don't.
Why do you say that?
Well, have the aliens come down and dug up the ground and stuff like?
That's assuming they would need to.
Right. How would they have this information on what planet to pick? How would they be able to do all that? They would have had to have come here and spent so long here to get.
They claimed to have been here for many years, many, many, many times in stages. Causing what we see in the crustal record. They claim to have caused what we see in the crustal record.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now you say, well, that's a bullcrap claim, but...
No. It's irrelevant to what I'm trying to state. All of these sine waves, all of these things would have had to have matched up once or twice before while they were here to get the data points.
Possibly.
Yes, okay. According to you, Richard, they created the planet.
Well, yeah, like how long ago was the Cambrian explosion? They caused that. That's one of the times they were here.
Right. Okay. That's when they were here, Richard. When they first came here, there was no planet. We've got all our information from the planet.
Well, there was a rock, but yeah.
When they got here, there was no planet. They created the planet. Okay. So what they've done,
the existent planet.
They changed. You're going to ruin my trail of thought, Richard, if you keep interrupting. I'm really trying. It's frustrating the shit out of me. If they created the planet, that is the starting point for our information. That is the starting point for all the information that we have gathered, and how we know that these things happen is because of the information that we have gathered on the Earth. Before the Earth was here, the only information that would have been available would have been observation. So, before the planet was here, how did they know to just pick this one?
Experience.
No, Richard. They have to know in a certain period of time, thousands and thousands of years down the line, millions of years down the line.
Possibly, yeah, probably.
Right? For you to predict a solar flare on a planet that doesn't exist yet, 65 million years minimum in the future, you're going to have to hang around and fucking actually see. You can't make a prediction that far ahead. You will need physical data points.
Sure.
So they're going to have to hang around with no planet because they don't know if they're going to build one here yet because they haven't sure. And they have to get at least a couple of data points.
Sure. Probably the first time they did this, this was probably difficult for them.
You can't make a prediction on how a sun will flare 65 million years in advance. You just can't. I don't care how good your technology is. You can't.
What do you mean? They do that. Suns just flare.
Yes, suns just flare randomly, but you're trying to build a planet that in 65 million years, this is again an arbitrary number because it's just dinosaurs, right?
It's fine. It's fine.
But you're trying to create a volcano that will go off at exactly the same sine wave as a solar flare. Okay?
You're am I wrong? You're saying this is huge computing power. They have to let us not only get
to a level of technology, because you said we have to get to a certain level.
Yeah, to accept heaven, yeah.
Right. So they have to wait. They can't just random. Oh, great. Take the planet back. We need a human species at a certain level. So we have to predict 65 million years in the future when this is naturally going to go off. Right.
Sure.
Two things. It's not natural if they planned it 65 million years ago. Whether they planned it that far back in time doesn't make it natural. They still intervened. And second of all, for them, more and more likely from an intelligent alien species, right, needs this to happen, that they will actually take part. And if they have the technology and they need a volcano to go off when a solar flare goes off, whether the solar flare goes off naturally, because the sun would have been here originally, so they have no part of the sun, but they'll still have to flick a switch at the exact time a solar flare happens when this volcano happens. Because if we have to be at a certain level of technology, for you to have the volcano to go off only when we're at this level of technology, and considering that the time scales on these things is longer than our length of this technology, we could wipe ourselves out. They're going to have to intervene. I understand that they may have the natural and be really smart and can see all these things happening, but for it to happen all at once, they cannot predict 65 million years in the future. They can't.
It looks to me the only directly claimed intervention is the removal of the oceans and then waiting for things to melt and the removal of the metals. And all the rest of it could be it just naturally how solar systems work.
Say that again, Richard.
I know it would take a huge amount of data points and computing power to say, okay, this is on this sine wave, this is on this one, those are going to line up this amount in the future, et cetera, et cetera. I know that seems, well, we would have to devote a lot of computing power to something like that, but I think we could do it right now. And in fact, we do that right now when we're talking about like global warming and future forecasting.
Yes,
we do that. So we say those kinds of things.
Yes, and the people who tell you this, right, will tell you cannot make a prediction on a solar flare 65 million years in advance. And you have
with our information, no, we can't.
You could make a rough estimation, and we will have a 100,000 years here, plus or minus. And we can say it's definitely going to happen in this. We don't have a date for the Cambrian explosion. It didn't happen on Tuesday. There's a gap, right? Them gaps are small geologically, but for a human race, they are huge.
Yes, they are.
And for all of these things to fall in this very small range. I know you're talking about big time scales and you're like, it happens all the time, yeah. But for it to happen in just this little small one.
Sure.
I know.
Extremely unlikely.
And it suddenly becomes likely if they intervene.
Sure it does. And of course, intelligent interference with any given situation increases the likelihood immensely of it happening.
They are
you
going
could say
to
naturally.
have to intervene.
What's wrong with that?
They're intervening what's wrong with that is everything that I got very highly irritated about earlier, about them thinking that they
Are better
deserve to
than
take
us.
it. Yeah.
Okay.
Because these timescales are so big, it is not a dichotomy to say, stay and die, come with us and live. Because these things may not happen. These things are massive. And if they did happen, they would have had to intervene. Because you cannot predict a solar flare 65 million years in advance. Okay, I can't say that they have to intervene. You cannot say that but no, I don't care. Technology aside, a solar flare 65 million years in advance? No. And even bigger than that, 100 million years in advance. Before the planet was even built.
We have had equipment and observation, and I'm going all the way back to Galileo's telescope.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. To observe and look at the effects of solar flares since about 1600. Okay. It's the year 2000-ish. So we've had that for about 400 years. We already know there are solar short and long cycles. We know how long they are. We know exactly what to expect and when to expect it in time frame.
Right.
And we're doing that to within an 11-year window.
Okay. I'm going to produce
with 400 years of experience.
Right.
Okay.
Now, I'm sitting here, I'm looking at the planet. How big's the universe?
We have no idea.
Fucking huge. Can we say it's fucking huge?
At least.
Right. Would you believe that these aliens can map the entire universe?
I have no idea.
Do you believe that it is possible to map every single atom in the universe all at once?
I wouldn't know how you would.
No, I wouldn't think so. So they
seems unlikely.
Right. Well, you see, the likelihood of shit happening increases over time. So if you're predicting something 100 million years, okay, the sun has these cycles. A big ass fucking massive meteorite comes flying in on an elliptical, a high angle, off our fucking universe, off our solar system, totally unexpected, hits the sun 150 years too early, causes a solar flare because it interacted with it. Sure. That then resets the cycle.
No, it wouldn't.
How do you know?
Why would it reset the cycle?
Do you not think it would have any impact on the cycle at all?
Well, let's take the 1859 Carrington
event
as an example.
I'm asking, let's not, no. I'm saying to you that this totally unexpected thing that comes in, out of it nowhere, that they don't know about, interacts with the sun.
Sure, okay.
We cannot say that it has no effect whatsoever on any of its cycles. You can't say that it's going to throw... if it throws it off by 1%...
Sure.
In over 100 million years, that's it thrown off by 100%. If every million years it loses 1%.
That would be mathematically true, sure.
In 100 million years, it's 100% wrong. So their prediction... Yes. It's 100%, in fact, it's been knocked off by twice of where it was. You understand where I'm going with the scale.
Sure.
They didn't see that coming. Sure. Now, they have set the planet. The planet hasn't been hit by a rock, so this scale hasn't changed. This one has been thrown off. This is what I'm saying, Richard. It's not that they don't have the technology to put something in a vacuum with nothing interacting with it and say it is going to act this way, exactly the same, in 65 to 100 million years. I 100% agree with you on that. But the universe is not... I'm going to say in a vacuum, but colloquially in a vacuum, the universe...
Things interact with each other, yes.
And unless they can predict every single atom in the universe for 100 million years, they're not going to know if something's going to hit this sun, it's going to hit the earth, and it's going,
So of course, there's some presumptions in your argument there.
Okay.
That they're not monitoring right now. They haven't been monitoring the whole time. The last time they were here was 65 million years. I never said any of this stuff. The Bible definitely doesn't claim those things.
Okay.
But it says that they're monitoring all the time, and ultimately it's one being's decision when this stuff starts, and that's the Father, not even Jesus. So then in my belief system, it's the last Jesus who just experienced this makes this decision for the next earth. Okay, so it's constant monitoring, and the reason that open theism is a thing where God might change his mind is because there's a good bit in the text to say God's playing it by ear.
So
there's a good bit to say that.
yes, so he may.
So all of these presuppositions that they just started something and predicted it 1 billion years out or what, that's not necessarily in there. I mean, if you want to say that, it's a good argument. It's just not what's indicated by the text.
If they're monitoring, they're monitoring
apparently all the time. Yeah.
All the time, right? Yeah. But they're just letting things run.
Yeah, pretty much, unless they have to interfere. Yeah.
Which they will have to
make all.
You can't predict 100 million years in the future, and
neither one of us can say that. We've established that.
Right. And if something happened, say 200,000 years ago, before the humans even existed, say a big meteorite did come in, right? And
it wouldn't change a solar cycle. I don't know.
It can not directly change it, not stop it, not do this, Richard, but you cannot say that it doesn't interfere or interact with it at all, okay?
Actually, there's a self-correcting balancing system that is part of this. And it's just like...
Okay, I'll bring another one in then. You're missing the point. You're being really specific and missing the point. All right, we set a fucking nuclear bomb off on the Earth. They have this scale set up, and we set a nuclear bomb off on the Earth. Right, we've definitely moved the fucking plates around. We fucked shit up. We've put stuff up in the atmosphere. There's another one. I'm just saying that these scales can be interacted with. These scales are not set in stone and constant, perfect, without interaction from the outside planets. Without interaction from the world.
Yeah.
All right. The universe interacts with itself.
Sure, of course.
And when you take that time scale in, for them, for you to say that they have made this prediction, they have to know every single goddamn thing, every fucking atom in the universe. And for them,
as far as I can tell, the prediction is only about 5,000 years old.
And for them to actually guarantee that all these things are happening, they're going to have to interact. They have to interact. Whether it's before we started, whether it's to give it a wee tweak and knock it more in a natural balance, they have to interact. Things will fuck plans up in a week. In 100 million years, shit's going to happen.
Yeah, I imagine.
And for it to be put back in scale, they have to interact.
Okay. You can assert that. That seems logical.
And it just goes back to the original point.
Which is? It's not theirs to claim.
Mm-hmm. I think we've hashed that out for fucking ages. Ages now.
I know. Look, the way that you look at things right now and the way that I look at things right now inevitably will change. Just like you can't say I'm exactly the same human that I was 2 years ago. Nobody can say that.
No.
Okay. We learn as we go and we correct. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. And let's say that just for argument's sake, Einstein were average intelligence in heaven. Okay. Well, that's still so much vastly more intelligent than I am right now, that I doubt I would look at things the same way if I were as smart as Einstein. Okay. And things like that is part of the story. So at least in an internal critique, if I say something like, I don't agree with all parts of this in justified morality, even in subjective morality from my own personal opinions, and that's fine, doesn't mean I wouldn't agree later. If I just had different experiences and more information, I might actually say, oh, okay, I get it.
Okay, I will agree with you on that, but I will make this statement that I will forever and ever, as long as I am in this mindset, it may change, and I have no idea how, that it would suddenly become better for the stronger person to take from the weaker person because they think they're better. If they could prove to me,
was holding a razor
if
knife,
they could prove, I wouldn't even give a fuck if they could prove to me they are better. The fact that they are stronger and taking from me when they don't need to,
I don't think it's about them needing to.
No, they're
I think it's
saving
about-
us. They're saving us from this shit that's going to happen, which you've said and we've went into. And we've pointed out, from my point of view, I have pointed out that if this shit was to happen in this very small time scale, they would have to make it happen.
You can say that. That's reasonable.
And for them to make it a dichotomy of either come with me or die, these are all issues that I have with it.
I understand that. And they're not unreasonable objections, by the way. I don't think you're being unreasonable in any way.
No.
What I'm saying is we aren't as adult as you think.
Using that in the term as in smart and grown and like a sci-fi show would do. They use that in Stargate too, man. Advanced aliens call us children. All right, for fuck's sake.
Well, I don't
You
know
really
that
need to
about
watch
Stargate
this show.
too,
You really
but
do.
maybe someday I'll find the time. But for now,
Oh.
I'm saying I think I'm a small child.
Yeah, I get the point.
Okay. And I think what they've done is said, when I was even younger than I am now, they said, look, someday you're going to pick up this really, really super sharp thing. I'm going to have to smack your hand and knock it out of your hand, and you're not going to like it.
I have never needed to raise my hand to Elena. And I am not one that would say I wouldn't hit a child. All right? I can't make that statement.
Well, if the
because
situation had needed it.
Oh, there was that wee fucker that spat in my face. I did. I've reacted. I've told this story before. He's a wee I call him the demon. He's a wee fucking bastard, all right? But that's because of his rearing from the get-go. All right.
Yeah, that was his parents' fault. Yes.
I'm not saying it's anyone's fault. I'm just saying that's where he's at now when he's 5 or 6. All right. I've been around Elena my entire life, and I have never needed to raise my hand to her. I have always explained things to her, talked to her. I have never needed to raise my hand. All right.
But you just explained why you didn't need to ever raise your hand, and good job, and good for her.
I'm just saying it's not necessarily necessary.
That
That
doesn't cover every situation.
If you have been around for as long as you say they have been around, if I was in that instance, from a parent's point of view, I'm interacting with the kid. I'm making sure I never need to smack their hand.
Right. That's
Okay?
right. You are, which would be constant monitoring
not.
and interference on your part, and they're leaving us some free choice.
So if we turn up to you bastards, it's their fault. As you just said, it's
Yes.
the parents' fault.
It is.
And it's better to interact. There's another fucking mark against them.
But yes and no. It depends on the situation. It's all subjective. And the book claims this about what they're doing, saying they invented good and evil, and that the rain falls on the good as well as the evil. It says it. And ultimately, they're responsible. That's correct. They're not avoiding that responsibility at all.
Right. Well, we've been going an hour and a half, Richard. We've got 4 verses in.
No, come on. I don't even want a cigarette. It can't be an hour and a half.
It's been an hour and a half, man. It's been an hour and a half, yeah.
I'll believe you.
I know that this has been fun. I've enjoyed this. I know that we get frustrated. And I know that
Who's we?
Fuck off, all right?
I was fine.
You keep, I swear to God, see if you keep interrupting me sometimes, I want to stab you in the throat. I really
But if
do.
you say something wrong, I should stop you.
I know, but you should also let me finish sometimes. But that's why we get along, because we understand that. But
Well, we both have some form of adult attention deficit disorder. I don't know what they are
okay,
exactly.
I
but-
know I get frustrated to keep Richard happy, because Richard never gets frustrated. Can someone please put Plastic Jesus' channel in the chat? Richard...
You know, actually, I can't. I went back and looked for that because I wanted to critique myself, and I can't seem to find it. I think it's actually, it was on Vivin Vivi, Plastic Jesus secondary channel, which I do have a link for and can find, but the show's not there.
What?
So,
all right. Well, I've been frustrated. Richard doesn't get frustrated ever.
sure, I get frustrated. I don't get angry. I mean, if you're drawing from 2 movies you've seen to express yourself and just how adamant you are about someone being a piece of crap, you're not really angry.
I'm only giving you shit. But this is why we're here. We're here to have the chat. I'm here to push Richard on these things. This is. I hope Richard enjoys it. I know that he knows.
I do.
There's no malice in anything I say. We get frustrated on points. We don't get frustrated with the people.
Of course not.
No. So, it is getting late. It's 12:30 here.
Aye.
I want to say thank you to everybody for coming by. Thank you, as always,
Yep.
to Richard for winding me up to the point where I want to slit his throat sometimes.
Right on. Anytime.
But it's always fun. I enjoy doing this. This is really one of the highlights of my week. So we'll definitely be back next week. Can't see any reason why not. Richard's slammed down the time now. He has his reposted up and he's learned, doesn't even need to post it anymore. He's here before I'm here usually. It's strange.
I'm trying to be.
So yeah, we've got that next Tuesday. I don't know, maybe something during the week. See what the crack is. See what the banter is. Shit might happen. Thanks everybody for supporting the channel. Thanks everybody for coming and watching as always. And Richard's channel, you know where Richard is. He'll be around tomorrow with Mac. Tonight with Mac.
That had to be changed to Sundays.
Sundays. I'm never going to get this right. Sundays. But
it's not even your show. You don't have to keep it right.
Well, we try. Yeah, thanks very much for everybody watching. Thanks everybody much for listening. And maybe not always argue with Richard, but do definitely think for yourself. Now, where the fuck is OBS in this new setup? It's there. See you all later. Bye.